Another popular topic that I've been meaning to ask you about, many people have sent in questions. AEW, not just running in Newark, but the next week, I believe the date, let me get it here, September 22nd, Arthur Ashe Stadium in Queens, 24,000 seats approximately. What are your thoughts on AEW doing a stadium show in New York in September? And again, the one other thing people have been pointing out, a week after their other show in the tri-state area.
Well, and it's not even I just love the Arthur Ashe Tennis Stadium. It's just how non-violent can a place sound to have a wrestling event? I don't know why they're doing a stadium a week after they're in technically the same market. I know New York is a big-ass place, but that just seems a bit odd, as you said. But it's not the fact that they're doing a show in New York. It's just that and this is another place, they've never had wrestling there before because it's a hootsy-tootsy tennis stadium, right? I mean, you wouldn't expect to have, a wrestling ring set up center court at Wimbledon either. But this is another one. I'm sure Tony Khan has these connections with these people that own these places, so he was able to get in where, can you see some fucking independent New York pro wrestling fucking group trying to get in the Arthur Ashe Tennis Stadium? I think not. But I was just funny. I was like, what's next? Maybe they're going to do fucking halftime at Cirque du Soleil. It just sounds so non-threatening. Oh, in the tennis stadium. But like, I'm sure they'll do well. It's New York, and there's a bunch of people in New York that like independent wrestling. I don't know why they're like we said, glomming their dates together in the same kind of metropolitan area. That seems to be. They're not going to put 23,000 people in the tennis stadium. If they do, then we'll come back here and I'll go, God damn, they did. But if they're not going to put 23,000 people in a stadium, why are they running a week after, like you said, that they've just been down the road? It seems like that would be a conflict. I'd spread things out. But
you don't think they can get 23,000 people in there?
Well, I think they can get 23,000 people in a stadium. I don't think they're going to draw 23,000 people.
Well, I mean, semantics in a sense. You're not even saying
the stadium will hold 23,000 people.
That's not what I'm saying.
I do not believe
Come on.
that 23,000 people will be there to see AEW wrestling. I would find that one hard to believe, especially if they're. And where's the other building the week before?
Newark.
But it's not. That's not the Barclays Center. That's in Brooklyn. It's the what's the building?
Prudential.
So that used to be the. No, that's and even the Meadowlands is a different building yet. Or is that
no? Meadowlands is a completely different facility.
All right. The point is they got a lot of them. But if they're going to be across in Newark, and then the next week they're running a stadium in New York, I'm just saying, is somebody acting like they're going to have 23,000 people at that stadium for just a house show? This is not a pay-per-view, right?
It is a episode of Dynamite, I believe.
Is it okay, even for a TV taping? That would be an accomplishment. I would have to tip my hat to them. And I'd have to tip my hat to AEW and roll my eyes at 23,000 people that would go outdoors in September in the New York area to see a show like this. But
no, it won't be that bad. It won't be that bad.
But anyway, no, is somebody saying they're going to sell this out?
I have not seen anything where anyone's predicted that. I have not even seen AEW or Tony Khan quotes. I mean, if they're out there, I haven't seen them where they're predicting that.
Okay, well, all right then. I'm sure they'll do very well, but there ain't gonna be 23,000 people there.
I have to say, I think this is a fantastic idea, and I'm surprised it took so long for someone to jump on it. There are several places in the New York area. You need a budget. You can't just be Johnny fucking Mud Show and promote a show there. But there are good places WWE doesn't do. This is one of them. Again, you're worried about the weather. It's right next to Citi Field, which is in the parking lot of what was Shea Stadium. So it's in that complex. There's parking. It's a great place. And that building is built perfect. A tennis stadium? And that is built perfect to watch wrestling. Right in the middle. I think this is a great idea.
Yeah. Well, but see, here's what I'm saying to you is you not only have to have a budget, but you have to have connections, because there's been a lot of facilities, venues, buildings, whatever, over the years that some people have said, boy, if I could just get in there and have a show in there, they don't want wrestling. It's not a part of their, mission statement. They don't want the fucking violence. They don't want the fucking crowd. They don't want the whatever they don't want is whatever they don't like about wrestling. But there's been a lot of places that, the reason why you said nobody's done this, besides having a budget, if the average jackleg wrestling promoter walked in with a check for the rent and still said, I want to have a wrestling show here, they'd say, fuck you, because they don't need it. So a lot of those places, the reason why they haven't been run is because they don't want wrestling to begin with. But then you go in and you're the owner of an NFL team or whatever the case may be, that changes some minds.
I am so curious to see how they blanket the area with advertising and publicity as we get closer to the date. I'm really curious how they do.
Well, you know the Dutch Mantell fucking premise, don't you? Every time that me and Dutch and the Midnight Express, we'd go up to the Northeast, you'd be driving down those turnpikes and parkways and you'd see those apartment buildings. But literally, those giant New York apartment buildings, there has to be 5,000 people living in that apartment building, right? And Dutch Mantell would say, if you just had an inter-building radio station where everybody listened to the radio station that lived in that building every day to get all the news and the gossip and whatever the case. And if you were just to say, hey, old Bill in 14A and old Jerry down in 26B, they're finally going to have it out. We've been hearing them yell and cuss and fuss and fight and everything. Now they're going to have it out in the laundry room Thursday night at 7:30. They're going to fight. Everybody be there. It's only $2 a head. You would draw 1,000 people in that building, right? So they've got so many people.
That's how hip-hop started.
There you go. There's so many people in that area. Just fucking put a goddamn postcard flyer in everybody's goddamn mailbox or whatever that lives within 1,000 yards, and you'd have 10,000 people. Anyway. Next.